All right, let's try this. Class.
Yes.
Now, good question. Is there 40 or 30? It's going to be 40. At least 40. I think it's either 40 or 42. Something like that. Something like that. But you can do it. It's actually not that hard. If you've gone through and actually tried doing as many of these as you possibly can, and then going through and asking for questions as we go through here. I'm going to teach you, and I'm going to go over the simplest way to do every single one of these problems. Okay? Yeah. So, simplest way. So let's take a look at problem number 16 here. Problem number 16 here. It says find sine 15 without using a calculator. Yes, it is. Am I going to come over and steal your calculator for problem 16?
Yes.
No!
Thank you.
That's too much work for me. It really is. I'm sorry. I am the laziest teacher, and I would really like for you to just do it yourself.
It's like, when you get to question 16, call me over. I will take
Yeah, I'm going to take that away, and then you can't use it. Now, what mode's my calculator in right now? Why do I know it's in degrees? It says sine of 15 degrees. So, make sure that is updated. So, sine 15 degrees. Please put that in the calculator. And while you guys are plugging in the calculator, and whatever your approximation is, you're going to match it, so you're going to have to approximate your answers also. For those people following along, I am going to try and do this by hand. And let's see if I could actually beat you to it. So sine 15, so that's going to be sine of 15 is 45 minus 30. 30. Okay.
I know that's right.
That's how you play chess.
There you go. Okay, so sine 45, cosine of 30 minus sine of 30 cosine of 45. So that's going to be rad 2 over 2 times negative rad 3 over 2 minus 1/2 times rad 2 over 2. So negative rad 6 minus rad 2 all over 4.
You could be like crazy and we wouldn't know.
I am. Yeah, I chose to be a math teacher in high school.
Wait. You put negative rad 6?
And negative rad 3
That's negative rad 3.
times negative 2 is negative rad 6.
Okay, so,
Why is it not there?
yeah, the math's not mathing.
I messed up.
Not negative rad.
Yeah, okay.
It's not negative rad 3 cosine of 30.
I don't think it is negative rad 3. If I did it.
You're right. Dang it. Okay. All right. Who got me on that one?
As I should.
Oh, pocket book?
Just the negative.
Okay. You got me there. So thank you for identifying that. Okay. We get C, right?
Yes, sort of.
Wait, Mr. Pancho.
Nope. Too late. Already gone.
But like, what am I supposed to like? We have like, I'm gonna see you tomorrow, and then like, not tomorrow, Friday, and then like.
Okay, if you don't want to use it for extra credit later on, there is a prize box with some classic comics and some action figures.
Oh.
So if you don't want to use it for extra credit, you could use that. Okay. All right, so let's go through
She's here.
and
Yay.
You bad.
so we have two angles here. We have S and we have T. So starting with S, it says let sine S be 2 over 3. Now, what does sine represent? Y over R. So I'm going to have an X, a Y, and an R. So my Y value here is 2. My R value is 3. And it says S is in quadrant 2. What do we know about the X value in quadrant 2?
Yeah.
Now, how can I find the missing x values? Pythagorean theorem. So let's do that. So it's going to be x squared plus 2 squared equals 3 squared. I'm going to skip a little bit. X squared is equal to 9 minus 4. X squared is equal to x is equal to plus or minus square root of 5. So I am going kind of quick on this because I do have to finish the rest of this by the end of class. So I am skipping some steps on this. Now, since we know this is in quadrant 2, my x has to be negative, so it's a negative radical 5. Now the next one here, okay.
You gonna go on that side?
Okay.
Sorry.
Someone forgot their glasses.
Yeah, I definitely
Okay.
did. I'm gonna use this pencil too.
So now we're going to do, not that one.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh,
look.
Pacho. These boo-boo pencils.
Yeah, they are boo-boo pencils. That's my good pen. I don't want you to take my good pen. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do it for the t value. So my t value over here says let sine of t be negative 1 over 3. So we know sine, again, is y over r. So I know my three things, x, y, and r. So what is my y value here?
-1.
Why is it negative?
Because R can't be negative.
Very good. R cannot be negative. R is always positive. R is the radius. That's my always positive there. And then we know that t is in quadrant 4. What do we know about my x value in quadrant 4?
Positive.
It is going to be positive. Okay? On the front of the reference sheet, you have a unit circle so you can actually see it there. So it is going to be a positive. So I know that's a positive. So let's go ahead and do my quadratic formula again. Not quadratic, Pythagorean theorem. So it is x squared plus -1 squared equals 3 squared. Make sure you put it in parentheses because when you square that negative, it has to become positive there. Otherwise, it's going to make a boo-boo. All right, so I get x squared is equal to 9 minus 1. X equals plus or minus square root of 8. And that factors. Okay, and that factors to be x equals plus or minus 2 radical 2. All right. Yes, I did factor that out because 8 breaks down to 4 times 2, right?
Yeah.
And square root of 4 is 2. And that's why there's a 2 on the outside. So now I have my x, y's, and r's. Okay, I have my x, y's, and r's. So you guys have all those. And now I have to go through and red 2. So now it says cosine s minus t. So I'm going to do this. So cosine of s minus t is equal to cosine of s, cosine of t. Now what goes next?
Minus.
Where am I going to find this at?
Reference sheet.
Where on the reference sheet? The top of the back. Top of the back. There you go, top of the back. So please actually look at it because I did modify the reference sheet to actually have some of these other things that we use. So I'm hoping you guys are following along and actually finding it there. It is there. So it's cosine s, cosine t plus sine of s, sine of t. Now let's go ahead and start plugging in. So what was cosine s? Negative what? Over? Yep. Cosine t?
2 rad 2 over 1.
3. Remember, cosine is x over r. So your r value in that one is 3, isn't it? Yeah? Am I losing anyone? Because yes, I am kind of trying to go fast, but because I need to cover everything. So if there is something you need to ask, please ask. got a question? I'm doing, right now, I'm on 17. But if you notice, it says this information here is for 17 and 18. So I'm doing that. Okay? All right, anyone else questioning what's going on, or yes? Are we okay? Hopefully. All right. So this one, so I put plus sine of s. What was sine of s? Very good. And sine of t? Very good. So let's put them all together. So when I multiply the radicals, I multiply inside the radicals. So inside goes together. So it's going to give me a negative 2 rad 10 over 9 plus a negative 2 over 9.
Wait, can't you further simplify the left? Negative 2, 10.
That factor 10.
5 and 2.
Both are prime.
Okay.
I can't break it down further, and there's no perfect squares in there to take out. So I just leave them alone. All right, so put them together, and I get negative 2 rad 10 minus 2 all over 9. Yes? No? Maybe? Okay. So what answer was that?
Yep.
B. Now, we have to use the same information for question 18. And it says sine 2s. Go, yes, go find that on the reference sheet. Sine 2s, that means it's a double angle for which one? S. Right? So sine 2s. So what is that formula?
Sine
Sine
x,
X
sine
cosine
cosine.
times cosine.
Is there a 2 out front?
Yes.
2
Sine
s cosine of s, right? Yes? No? Maybe?
yes.
Okay, I'm hoping I'm making sense here because I need everyone following. Okay, let's go ahead and plug in those values that are given to us. So that's going to be 2. Now sine of s was 2 over 3, and cosine of s was negative. Very good. So as I multiply again, this is on the, this radical here, since it's rad 5, I don't have another radical, so I can't multiply that with anything. I just multiply what's out front. So a positive, and a negative. My final answer has to be negative. 2 times 2, 4, radical 5. And on the bottom I have 9. Yes. All right. Moving on. Use identities to find the exact value. What could I do here? What if I want to try and just make this the easiest test possible?
Go on the
Plug it into the calculator. What do I have to look and be careful of? This one's in radian, isn't it? Why do I know it's in radian? There is a pi there. So, I know you got your calculator and you're plugging it in right now because we got to approximate this. No, you put in pi. You put in the pi because we're going to approximate the whole thing. Hmm?
I watched like all the videos back and it was doing it by hand and I don't get it.
The easiest way is to
Do it in the calculator.
you just plug it in the calculator. Doing by hand, I would first convert it to degrees
Yeah.
and use known values on my unit circle to try and add up or subtract to get that. So I would use sum and differences identities to get my answer. And I highly recommend just plugging them in. So what's that going to be? Let's see. If that was 7 pi over 12, that is 105 degrees. So 105 degrees would be
Oh, this is
60
Wait,
and
so
45.
calculator's supposed to be in radian, right?
Yeah. So your answer, your calculator in radian, is going to give you approximately what?
I don't know, my calculator's
They gotta use some decimals.
Good.
Yeah, negative
Decimal. Negative what?
0.25. 8819.
All right, good. Black. But wait, none of those are my answer.
You gotta plug
Right.
those into.
Plug their answers into the calculator because all your answers have radicals. So you're going to approximate your answer and match what you have to the right answer.
Ooh, yeah.
Start plugging them in. Plug them in. Be faster. Is that what you got? Oh, good job. What'd you get? B?
D.
Oh, bad.
Yeah, I got D. It's D.
It's what?
It's D. It's not B.
Y'all are saying the same thing.
Exactly. Y'all saying the same letters.
They said D and D.
Oh, one person saying B.
Is
one
it
person-
boy or is it dog?
It's dog.
It's a dog.
Oh wait, it is D. My bad.
Oh.
We are saying the same letters.
It's doggo. All right. Now, does that make better sense? Just approximate each one, especially if you have something like this. If you can plug it in the calculator, then do that. We have 90 minutes for this test. What did I say? 42 questions?
Yeah, that's too long.
No, it's not. You got this. You can do it.
I sure can. You right.
You can do it. It's all up to you. Okay.
I sure
Good. All right. Number 20. Okay. What do you think I should do?
Oh, look for the identity.
It is an identity, but let's see if I can do the identity by hand before you could actually plug it in the calculator. So sine, cosine makes it a sine of 40 minus 160. So sine of negative 120. So that's going to give me negative rad 3 over 2.
He's a truth teacher. If he didn't have the whole thing memorized, that'd be embarrassing.
Actually, I have to try and, I picture it. I don't have the whole thing memorized as so. I just picture it.
Little thing.
No.
That's crazy.
I just picture it, where it's located at, and I always get my sine and cosine wrong. So I just have to look at the location of where it's at.
You dream about trigonometry, don't
I dream
You know
in
Geometry
trigonometry.
Dash? That's his dream.
you? Is
Geometry
that
Dash.
right?
What was that?
Geometry Dash?
Oh, yeah. Okay, is that what, hey, listen,
Right angle.
did you guys get this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone not?
Yeah.
Okay? So, we joke, but it is, you know, by going over and trying this all the different ways, that's the reason why I am able to come up with other ways that make it easier for you people. So like on this problem right here, these suck. Go ask any math major to try and do this, they're like, what the hell? But how did I teach you guys how to do this?
X and Y.
X and Y. Let's translate it into algebra.
As we should.
So sine squared, what am I going to replace sine squared with?
Y squared.
Y squared over,
X.
very good, plus, what is cosine squared?
X squared.
Over,
Cos. X
now, right here.
equals 1.
Nope,
Oh,
hold on.
Sorry.
Okay, yes, I'm going to get to that. But before I do that, do they have common denominator?
Yes.
So let's combine it, common denominator first. So it's y squared plus x squared over x.
Uh-oh.
Now,
don't
go
forget
ahead.
there.
Go ahead, say it.
1 over X.
Yeah.
X squared plus y squared is always equal to 1.
Uh-huh. Seek it.
There we go. So x squared plus y squared is always equal 1. In my identities, I can replace x squared with y squared. X squared plus y squared equals 1 over x.
Mm.
As we should.
And then translate it back into trigonometry.
Mm.
1 over x is going to give me secant as an answer. This could be secant of theta, or my answer could be 1 over
Cosine.
cosine theta. Either answer is correct. Either answer is correct. I just looked, since this is multiple choice, that's what I go by. So this is going to be secant is C. All right. Yes, no, maybe? Questions?
Yes, I think the whole test should be on this that.
Exactly, me too.
22. Do you know what? That unit, everyone hated. Everyone hated that
It
unit.
was bad.
I've always
That's
liked
unit
I
5,
like
right?
Yeah, unit
Yeah,
5.
Unit 5 was bad.
Either you got it or you don't got it.
That's
I
everything.
don't.
That's everything though.
Okay, right here.
Don't.
Area. Go put your finger on the area formula.
Yeah.
Okay. Which area formula am I going to use here?
Wait,
You're gonna use a cosine.
Yeah.
No? There's no pair.
Well, that's
Every-
sine.
Area. Put your finger
Oh,
on
okay,
the
never
area formula.
Area.
Okay, listen. Put your finger.
Now I don't need to put my
Oh,
finger anywhere.
Where's it at on your reference sheet? Exactly. That's why.
Well, if I looked at it for a second, then I could find
Okay.
it. You know?
Yeah, got to take your finger out the nose. Put it on the reference sheet.
Are you gonna use the second one?
Why am I going to use the second one?
Because we have big A.
You have big A there, right?
And little b and
Very good. We have big A, so that tells me which one I'm going to use. 1/2 B C sine of A. So 1/2 B, which is 13.6, C, which is 10.1, times the sine of big A, which is,
42.5
there we go. What mode's my calculator in right now?
degrees.
So you always, every single one of the problems, you need to double check that you're in the right mode all the time. We're going back and forth in between degrees and radians all the time. So please, you gotta pay attention on what we're doing. What do we got?
Oh, no, that ain't the answer. I'm just calling numbers.
46.4. Alrighty. So let's keep going. 23. This one's kind of a pain. This one goes all the way back into some old hippie.
But that's the only thing.
It's so hippie.
Some old hippie.
Tripping on acid.
Yep.
What's the call part? It's called a hernia. What's that part? I just remember some old hippie in there tripping on acid. Oh, called.
Another hippie.
Oh, called another. Okay.
Someone would be caught an hernia.
Okay. The mnemonic for this goes by the first letter every time. So that's why we use that. So, didn't catch a hernia.
Some old hippie caught a hernia tripping on acid.
There we go, yes. All right. So now for those people that are following along and not on their phones, let's go ahead and do this right here. So now I'm going to use A as my reference angle here. Because I'm only using half. The some old hippie has to do with only right triangles. And that's the reason why I broke this up like this. So from A, I'm going to use this, right? Because we're trying to solve for that, right?
Right.
And what else is given to me? The C value here, right? The C value is given to me. So given this, I'm going to use the opposite, right? And I'm going to use the, what is this thing called? Hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse is what ratio?
Sine.
Mm-hmm.
Sine.
Where did you get the 1/2 from?
Okay, see how see the triangle?
Oh yeah.
The whole triangle, it has just B on the bottom. But since I broke it in half, that's why I have half B. So now let's go ahead, and it was sine of A. It's always equal to opposite over hypotenuse. What was my opposite value here? H over C. But what are we trying to get by itself? We're trying to get the H by itself. So what am I going to do to the C? Multiply both sides of the equation by C.
So it's just like algebra.
Yes. So these cancel, and I get C sine of A is equal to H. Is that one of my choices?
Yes.
That is one of my choices. Now, if it didn't work out like that, I could do it from the other side. If I could do it from the other side of the triangle, it would look like this. What would I have in the bottom right-hand corner? I'd have a C. This would be little a. This would again be 1/2 B. And this would be my H. Does that make sense or no? So, on your test, if it's the other side, then go with that, okay? So, since I just chose the left side and I used that, because 2 of them had A's, only 1 of them had a C. Okay? So, let's go with the next one. What is the length of side B?
Angle side.
No. Okay. We're going to use one of the 2 laws. Is this sine or cosine?
Sine.
Why sine? You have a pair. Is the pair given to you?
Yes.
Kinda, right? We have a pair of what? A's. I have a pair of A's. But what do I have to do to use law of sine? I got to find big B, don't I? So there is enough information. I just have to find big B. So before I do that, I have a pair of A's. So that tells me that is going to be law of sine anyway. So let's do the math to get what big B is. So subtract it from 180 because all 3 angles together always add up to 180. 37? Okay. So let's go ahead and do our math now. So start with what I know. 95 over sine of 19 degrees is equal to little b over sine of 37 degrees. What mode's my calculator in? Degrees. Yeah, it's in degrees, right? So I keep asking this over and over again because when you're doing this test, you need to be asking yourself, is it in the right mode? Especially if it's something you have to plug into the calculator. All right, I'm going to skip some steps, but I'm going to go straight to, I'm going to end up with B. After my cross products, I get B is equal to 95 sine of 37 divided by sine of 19 degrees. So I get B is going to be about
175.6.
Good job. Good job.
Now, is it possible for A to be the answer? I hear no, I hear yes. Why is A not possible?
Match up with the angle.
There we go. Smallest angle, smallest side, right? What is my smallest angle here? It's 19, and that smallest side is 95. So that tells me that everything, all my sides have to be more than 95. So definitely no for those. Okay? So sometimes you might actually be able to get away with just using that to get some answers. Find the measure of angle C. What is given to me here on angle C?
A, B, and C.
A, B, and C. But what are those?
The sides.
They're sides, aren't they? So if I have all 3 sides, I would use what law? Law of cosine. Very good. to ever use law of sine, you have to have a
Pair.
It's not possible to use law of sine if I don't have a pair. So that means that since I don't have a pair, it must be law of cosine. So now, I put it on your reference sheet so you have your correct formula. What are we looking for here? We're looking for C, right? Okay, so it's going to be C is equal to what?
Inverse cosine.
Inverse cosine.
C squared minus A squared minus
Yep.
B squared over 2B.
So in this case, it's 8.2 squared minus 9.3 squared minus 5.7 squared all over negative 2 times 9.3 times 5.7.
The board and come up with this. You got too
Now,
much time.
actually plugging this into the calculator is going to help you out. Writing it down, one of the biggest issues my previous classes have been having is not putting it in the calculator correctly.
When you do the square root, I mean not the square root.
We're breaking the square. It's bomb.
Yeah. When you do, I was about to say when you do the power of 2, when you do the square, it goes outside of the parentheses, right? Outside of the little parentheses that's inside the big parentheses. They just go like that.
As
No
is.
parentheses,
As is. Exactly as is.
no parentheses.
No special parentheses here. She's asking because when you have a negative, you would include the you would put it in parentheses to square that value. You would square the negative, but we're not trying to do that because it's minus whatever this is squared. And because this is an actual triangle, it is a length of a side, I'm not going to have a negative value on there. That's why. And so, yeah, you're not going to deal with negatives on those.
I put the parentheses and I got
You got answer what? B. Okay. I'll check yours. Yeah. Oh, that's fine. You're perfect. Yeah, because you still have minus sign between. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so yeah, it means the same thing, but if you, let's say you mess this up and be like, oh, this is the problem everyone was having earlier, they use a negative sign. Okay, it means something completely different. There we go. It was B, right? I just guessed at that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. 26. Solve the triangle having given the information. Now, what's given to me here? Do I have a pair or can I get a pair? If I don't have a pair and I can't get a pair, then it's what law? Law of cosine. So law of cosine, what would I have to solve for here on law of cosine? Little a. Very good. I would have to solve for little a. So if I go ahead and draw the triangle and plug these in, I would see that I have it set up correctly. So put your finger on the formula for little a. Okay. Go ahead, take the finger out the nose, put it on the formula for little a. Okay. So now I'm going to write it out. So it's going to be little a is equal to the square root of, that's going to be BC, right? So it's 70.3 squared plus 60.5 squared minus 2 times 70.3 close 60.5 close cosine of A, which is
100,
108.
108 degrees, 40 minutes.
There you go, just like that. And yes, these are a pain to put in the calculator, but guess what? The cost of getting it right every time. again, I know everyone's practicing putting it into the calculator because sometimes your claws don't help at pushing those buttons. So you got to get used to pushing them buttons. So my answer is C.
Oh, do you have to keep the DMS?
106 apart.
No. Oh, actually, yes. It's 106 point something, but it's, yeah, it's the only one that's 106. So yeah, if you do the triangle DMS at the end.
You want 106 apart?
All this is not inside your radical. Yeah, that's why. All right, this next one. It says use law of cosine to find the indicated part of each triangle. Find A. Okay, that's capital A, right? What's given to me though?
All the sides.
All three sides. So what law am I using?
Cosine.
Law of cosine. So I put my finger on the formula for capital A. And I would say that capital A is inverse cosine of wow, it just kind of like zoned out there, or like
9 squared versus 54 squared versus 496 squared versus.
there we go. Plug it in as is. So the act of actually plugging this in might help you out. Because if you come at me during that test, be like, yo, how do I put this in the calculator?
Mister, for the
gonna
last
help
problem,
us?
I got it wrong. I don't know if I just went wrong.
Oh, okay, I'll check that. On this one?
This is 99.
Okay, you forgot it too. Look at my, look at the formula.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's 2 times,
70.
yeah, there we go, hit enter.
Oh, okay.
What about 30?
How? Okay, what did I do wrong then?
What's that last number? What'd you put? So that's usually, you know, what the problem is. Most of the time is just entering it in correctly.
Okay.
All right, so go ahead, change that up. And 28. Okay, this is like a problem that we had on the test.
Oh, I like
Easy.
Now, it said, I can't see it on mine. Can you guys help me out here?
I'm good.
From my first one, how far, what is this one going? Is this the 20?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is 20 miles per hour. This one over here is?
16.
And it says, how far are these apart here after 3 hours?
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, so that's
So 60 and
120.
60?
32 plus 16, 48.
Dude.
She was mathematician.
You got me, dude, you got me
She
stumped.
was-
I was doing it in my
Okay.
head and you started talking.
Because the information is given to you that it is 16 miles per hour, right? After 3 hours, how far do they go? Yeah,
Oh.
because it's miles per hour and it gave you 3 hours.
If a car is going 40 miles an hour after 1 hour, or how long will it take for it to travel 40 miles?
40 hours. No.
All right, so now right here. So we had a problem like this on the last test. If you notice, it doesn't have an ABC.
You make them yourself.
You
Yeah.
gotta pick 'em.
Yeah,
Choose.
put ABC on there.
You gotta
So-
manipulate.
I'm gonna put an ABC. So that means that I'm gonna call this A. That makes this little a, B, little b, C, little c. Do I have a pair?
Yeah.
No.
No. I don't have a pair, do I?
Absolutely.
And I can't get a pair. So it's going to be law of cosine. And law of cosine means I have to solve for what side first? Little a. Has to be little a. has to be little a
That's
because
the
they
same.
give you big A.
That's the sign
Right.
I'm looking for anyway.
Yeah, that's the sign I'm looking for anyway, right? So you have to look at the formula. If you're using law of cosine, what is given to you? The angle that's given to you, big A, that means you have to solve for little a. It's on the reference sheet. It's there, right?
So if we were looking
So
for
again,
another
that-
little angle,
Hold on, say it again.
if we were looking for another angle, or side I mean, does that mean we would use the equation for that side, or we still have to use the A equation?
I would have, because the only thing that you could solve for is A, little a here. Because of how it's set up in side angle side. You only can solve for that one. So once you actually get that information,
You can solve the other.
yeah, then you can solve the other one using law of cosine to find the angle. Because if I do that, I have all three sides, right? And then I would just plug it into the formula like I previously had.
So if I want to put it in that order, like A, B, C,
It could have put B on the top if you want. Do you want B on top?
I was just wondering.
I just put it like there because I need an A, B, C there. So if I decide to put C on top, as long as you put it in the right spot. If big C is on top, what's down here on the bottom?
Little c.
That's little c, right? Everything is according to how it's supposed to go. Okay? So now, we're going to solve for little a, so my formula is going to look like this. Little a equals square root of,
B squared.
so that's 48 squared plus 60 squared minus 2 times 48 times 60 times cosine of 120. All right, what did we come up with? Negative 4?
94.
Oh, 94. Okay, good. Now, could my answer have been 26? No. Why?
It doesn't work like that.
Is 120 degrees, is that going to be the largest angle in the triangle? Because I know all three angles in a triangle could only add up to 180. Since that is more than half, that means that one has to be the biggest. So I could say, hey, it can't be A. It can't be B. Can it be C? No. There we go.
So it gotta be.
Yep. Solve the unknown angles in the triangle. Okay, what's given to me?
You have a pair.
I have a pair, right? I have a pair of B's. So if I have a pair, that means I'm using what law? Very good. I'm going to use law of sine. So let's go ahead and set this up. So in this, it's going to be 4730 over sine
48 degrees, 15
equals, what's going to be on top?
380.
I got to have little a.
3850 over sine of big A.
But how do you go from B to A? You going backwards?
Because the ratio is like equivalent. So that's why
No,
it's
it always looks like this. I have a pair of B's.
Push them forward.
Oh. I don't know.
It's on your reference sheet too.
Yeah, but it's in order, so I thought it always went that order from A to
No.
No.
No, you just start with the pair. They're all equal together.
So you could do this with C. if you
A
have
and C, yeah.
Or you could do it
1
like
and 3 is
reverse
still
with
3,
Yeah.
and then 1 and 3 is still 3.
Oh.
And 3 is equal to 3.
All right,
I
now.
can do it.
But wait, there's more.
I think about it.
This is everyone's favorite type of triangles.
Oh,
Ambiguous.
It is ambiguous, isn't it? Because we have an angle side, don't we? We have an angle side. It is ambiguous. And what do I know about ambiguous?
There's more than one triangle.
You could have
0, 1, or 2.
That's a
Very
good
good.
one right there.
0, 1, and 2 triangles, right? So look at your choices. Look at your choices here. Is it possible for it to be a 0 triangle? No, because that's not one of my choices. Is it possible to have 2 triangles? No, because that's not one of my choices. Because it is a multiple choice test, I'm telling you right now, it's only 1 triangle. So let's go through and do the cross products. And so for the sake of time, I'm gonna jump to. So do the cross products, and then we're gonna end up with A equals inverse sine of 3, 8, 5, 0.
Sine of 48. 50. Oh man. 4730.
4730.
Why are you looking at that? Oh, that's good.
And since all my answers
Are different.
include that at the end. Is anyone going to want any more 8.3 since?
Yeah,
Keep them for next year.
thank you. Keep it for next year. Girl boo.
The next trig class. That's what I'm talking
The teachers would rather just waste paper.
Yes.
about.
Actually, what I do
Oh,
is I
like-
recycle it, I put it into my compost heap,
Okay.
and I turn it into worm food.
Because
That's
there's no
better, I
actually
like that.
recycle. Like there, you see a lot of the blue.
I know,
trash, they're just
it's all trash. So I actually do shred. I have a pile of stuff that I shred, and I put it in my compost, and I try to make worm food.
Like for
Do you
your
eat it
flowers and
in it?
stuff?
Yeah. I have red wigglers.
Oh, worms?
Yeah, they're called red wigglers.
So worms eat paper.
Yeah, they actually eat anything, any stuff that breaks down.
So like you put it in your soil or whatever?
Yeah, actually in the compost.
That's soil, right?
It
it's
is
not
stuff
soil-
that breaks down
yeah,
to be
yeah.
soil.
So do you
So
put
it's
like
organic
banana
material.
peels and stuff?
Huh?
Do you put banana peels? and-
Yeah, you can put all that, all organic material.
So what it just rots until it.
Yes, but the carbon, which is the paper,
Mhm.
helps keep that down. So it's not going to smell. It's not going to rot. It's actually breaking down. It's composting. It is actually becoming soil.
Oh.
So the nutrition is going back to into the dirt.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
You need nitrogen.
Yes. So you just have to make sure that any green organic, so juicy organic material,
Mhm.
is covered, so it doesn't actually begin to rot, like you would say in the track flies.
Right.
Hmm? Did we get an answer yet? 37 or 47
37 degrees, 47 inches.
inches?
Minutes.
Minutes. You know what? You're not too far off. 1 tick mark in engineering means feet. 2 tick marks in engineering mean inches.
That's why it always gets me mad when people put their height and they only put the one in between, but they don't put the double one after. I'm like, bro.
Okay, so I'm going to redraw this. Is this one pretty good on your paper? Because it didn't come out good up here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take a look at this now. I'm going to redraw this to figure out what I'm looking for. So, big B, C, letter A,
We're all young. Dang.
15
I'm ready to go to
degrees.
sleep, girl.
You guys only have like what, 2 more days?
Dude, that's a whole 48 hours. of
Man.
work.
Is that
I have
354?
to work after tomorrow.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so it says find AC. What side is AC going to be though? Little b, very good, little b. Do I have a pair? Yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes.
¿Qué pasó?
Yes.
Yes.
You have the pair already. You just have to subtract it from 180.
I can get big A, can I?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You can get big A, so I will have a pair at that point. So please do that right now, and go ahead and add the DMS to it.
We have to do all the, we have to add degrees.
Was that on
You
the
guys
wrong
just have
one?
like 2 more days.
2730.
Oh, no.
So 12730,
After the
50, 35230.
Wait, Pacho, are you gonna sign
Traumatizing dog. It happened just quickly.
our senior
My brain's about to get real smooth
paper
after
sign?
Friday.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it
Friday? Friday? Okay.
So I'm just doing a fair one. So I'm trying to keep all these morons that are interrupting my classes. They annoy the crap out of me. So I just tell them, no, I'm not gonna sign anything until your day that you come take your final. So
Why are you lying?
I gotta be a meanie like that because these people just keep coming in for every class.
Every single career, every single aspect of your life, math is in it.
I rebuke you.
Hey, hey, hey!
I rebuke that.
No, for real.
I don't think about that.
It is, but it is
It's
there.
automatic.
Yeah, it is there.
Yeah, you right.
It's just
'cause
not
I
this
love
complex.
math.
No,
Yeah.
it's even more complex. You just don't realize it.
This in Marine biology.
You know that you're doing calculus as you drove to school this morning?
Yeah, but I think
Not
that's
literally.
like basic nature to do that. But it's
Because you have velocity, acceleration, and position of the car. If you are
You
increasing,
constantly do
Oh,
physics.
So you're
Why are you-
participating in that. You're not.
but let's say for instance you guys, you're driving on the highway and then you're trying to calculate, you mentally calculate how much you have to accelerate, which is the second derivative, okay? And you have to increase your velocity, which is the first derivative, of your position, which is the original function, to get on ramp to join into the highway.
I don't think about that.
It's gonna be like 413 or 494 without doing
How
math.
many degrees
Okay,
in a second?
Tony says he doesn't want to do the math, and so he said it has to be what?
B or D,
Why?
because it matches up with the angles.
Okay, you said matches with the angle. So the largest angle goes with the, and the one side that I have here is 354. So that means that 354 is less than B, right?
Yeah.
So
It's also
anything
less
that,
than D.
okay, so that means that I cannot have C, I cannot have A,
No,
The
sir.
answer
You just plug it
is
And then you could just guess. 'Cause
Yeah.
and then plug it in, right? So we're going to get
at this point, your chances are just easier.
354 sine
ah.
52 degrees.
Somebody
fucking fresh.
big ass kid trying to play too much.
Let's scare the fuck out of them.
Hey, that's what you're gonna have to do with freshman.
What you got to do?
At work,
You
yeah.
guys are gonna be, oh,
Where do you work at?
No, they get to know that.
Where do you work at? I'm asking you. Yeah. Yeah, nigga, you the only person.
Hey! Don't get me demonetized. You're right there at my microphone. Come on now.
Oh.
Oh, that's not even a microphone. Never mind.
This video's gonna get taken down. He's gonna have to mute the video for the commentary.
Yeah, you gonna get a yellow flag by YouTube.
Just do a voiceover.
Have Jay do it.
So you do the thing.
And then you move it over there.
This is going to come back. Fact check
Do
false.
the X value. Once you get the answer.
And then degree in a second.
What did we get anyway?
B.
You say D.
I said B.
Boy or dog?
Boy. Barinko. Baraka. B.
What?
Boy or dog?
As we should.
Anaya, why you scared? Who said they scared?
No, have you guys seen the video of the little girl?
No.
Like in her closet? No?
In her
She's
closet.
smart,
Hey.
and she's like,
Hey.
I'm scared.
Hey, hey. Come on, focus. We gotta finish this test. What you want? I'll put it in the trash right there.
Ooh.
Next to the rest.
Oh my god, guys, I'm scared.
Okay,
Yeah.
Amy,
The girl who farts?
please follow along here. We gotta finish with this. We're hopefully we can finish in time.
We will. We will.
Okay.
9 more.
We got
Now,
9 more.
simplify this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna factor it. I'm gonna take this and I have make it bigger.
Oh, this from unit 8?
Factor. What am I factoring out of this?
2,
Start with
-1
-1.
Okay, okay.
-1 times 18
and then 2 and 9.
and 2 times 9.
Right.
2 times 9. And then 3.
Nope.
No.
Circle the 9.
Why am I circling the 9?
Hey.
Oh,
It's a radical.
it's
I mean, it's a.
Perfect square. Square root of 9 is going to give me, very good, that
Oh,
right here.
it's C.
So that's going to give me I. That -1 is going to give me an I. And what's left over?
The 2
So I get 3 I.
Is this unit 8?
over 2. Not over 2, but radical.
That's what he was talking about earlier.
You can put it in the calculator, right?
You can,
Again, substitute.
but what do you have to do to make that happen?
Take out the I.
Nope.
Okay, so
Taller?
is the one, the one is the I or the negative?
The -1 is the I.
Circle it,
So
yeah.
if it was
That's why I
not
circled that.
negative- So if it's not negative,
If it's not negative, you just factor it normally.
okay.
Because the square root of -1 is an imaginary number. And so that I factored out first, and it only means that I'm working with that square root of 18 after that.
So if it's not negative, you would just do the same thing. you
Yeah,
did?
but you just don't worry about the I, because you're not going to have an I.
Okay.
Mm.
You just put that
You
thing
just
in
plug
and
it
you
in.
put
You need the
plug
blue
it in until
calculator.
you get the right answer.
No,
No.
you just plug it in.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I did and I got the right answer.
Yeah, you have to just change your modes.
To the gradient?
And so it might already be set for yours because my previous class was doing it, but I will go to it when we're doing it here in a couple minutes. So I don't think it's this one, I think it's the next one.
The -1.
All right, so now this is the one that I'm going to do to show you how to put in the calculator.
Okay.
So, scooch. So I'm gonna go over here, so let's bring up my calculator. And I'm going to, nope, wrong calculator. I'm going to split screen this, so Doc B,
25i.
clear this up. And split screen right there. So, you ready?
Yes.
Step by step on how to get there. It's almost like this is what you were asking for. Home. Settings. Where do we go next? Document settings. Now, this is where I could change the angle also, but I don't need that. So right here it says real or complex.
Polar. Rectangle.
That's where I change it in between rectangular and polar. If you did unit 8, you would see that what mode is all these answers in. They are rectangular, so make sure it's in rectangular.
I still don't get, what is the difference?
How you know if it's a rectangle? Yeah, how you know if it's a rectangle?
It's in the notes.
I know that.
The ones that say cosine, I sine, those are polar. Yeah, so it says cosine plus I sine of whatever it is. So if it looks like that's cosine and sine, that's polar.
Okay, that makes sense.
So we have it set up now.
X on one side.
I'm gonna go and back to my scratch pad.
Oh, that's more
Wait,
confusing
is
than
it on
just doing
rectangular?
it.
Yes, it is rectangular. Now, let's go through and hopefully you guys can see the same thing. There is an I out front that I have to take care of. So the I is under the pi. So you push it on pi.
I'm just trying to see how to do it. Shoot.
Yeah, right, you were zoning out. Don't even play. All right, I have I, parentheses, 3 minus 4i. It's almost like I'm checking if you're following along and notice that you're zoning out. Open parentheses again. If you notice, the parentheses are important because You have to make sure you're putting it in correctly. And then 3 plus 4i.
Right.
3 plus 4.
Yeah, it's B.
And make sure you use the correct I.
25.
25.
Hit enter.
As we should.
Anyone not get that?
I got
I'm in the
45.
wrong thing.
20 B.
You're in the wrong thing?
Yeah. Yeah, I still didn't get it.
What is the wrong thing?
It says something about invalid multiplied. Implied multiple.
Okay, mine did that too.
And I'm in radian, so I don't know.
Radians is not the thing. Did you
But
just...
yours says radian. I just changed it to radian because yours says radian.
Mine says degrees. I got the
Mine
same.
It doesn't matter for that. I'm trying to tell you, did you change it to rectangular like we just did? Did you hit OK?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm coming over then.
No, go, well, okay, well, okay.
He's coming.
I'm trying to help you. No, you do it, because I ain't doing it on your test.
That is letter I, not number I.
Oh.
Where's
the
the
wrong
number?
I.
The eye is on the
I said
little
home. That's, you
radical
know what
thing
the house look like?
at the
Go to
bottom,
settings.
and then you see it.
Home, settings,
I didn't
document.
press it though, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm done.
Did you press it?
Don't forget about that.
Yeah, right. You didn't put anything in.
It didn't save it.
What did
No.
it say? There is nothing about
Actually.
saving. It shows your whole history. Plug that in. Okay, for people that weren't following along, where is the I?
Under the radical.
Under the pie.
Where the radical is.
Not under the sea. La 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 la. Under the pie. La 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 la. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Clever.
The answer is B.
I've never watched that movie.
Little Mermaid, me either, but I was in it.
Did you go to the musical?
Under the sea.
No.
All right. How do you think we're going to do this next one?
Plug it in.
Okay.
D.
So you're actually going to have to do this time.
It's D.
Not look at me all crazy and actually just do it, right?
I did.
Thank you. So I'm going to start by doing my fraction. Control, divide, 2 minus I, which is way over here under the pi. La 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 la. Oh my goodness, please don't stop. No.
Please don't stop.
Please don't. Comma, stop.
If you want to play with me, my friend.
Me too. Right.
Anastasia, how you doing? You done there? You said yes? Okay.
It's D.
None of your business then. If you don't want to follow along to see who's in class, then no.
That's the point of this class, to see everyone and know everyone's name.
Some people pay attention and actually, learn other people.
I just kind of.
I don't even know we had an Anastasia.
I only know like 4. I know the people that you pick on a lot. Like, there's a lot of people that, like, you know, like the loud people. Like I know who they, like I know. Indians.
What's his name?
You would call him Kenneth.
Yeah.
Right, the
I
whole
called him Kenneth for a
semester.
really long time.
Yes. That's why I just asked you that.
No, and like you, and I'd be like right
I
behind
know.
her, like, and you'd be like Kenneth, or you'd be like Kenneth. What did you answer?
I know, right? Are we good here?
Yes, sir.
That's why whenever somebody calls you Poncho, like I just let it happen.
Poncho.
It's
How
justice.
dare you?
It's justice.
Tampico.
Justice for Kenneth.
Mr. Tampico. You know what that is? That's juice. You like the Tampico juice? You walking up on me now. What's up? No.
All right, so which represents this? So we're going to write this number in rectangular form. That means the real first plus whatever your imaginary. So this point in this location right here, what's my real?
Yeah.
Negative 3
And plus 2.
plus
Right?
2i, yeah.
2i because it's up to. in the I direction.
Oh, y'all
Wait,
good.
Mr. Pancho?
-3.
Oh, maybe I should just ask you this after, but like, what does this have to do with anything? Like, two imaginary. No, what? No, like this is a serious question. Like, is it two imaginary numbers? Like -3 plus two imaginary numbers, or -3? Like what? Like if you're trying to explain this, like yeah, like what is that? Like what is the like what is it? Like,
She don't even know what it
am
is.
I mathing?
For what reason is what you're asking?
No, like, what is the imaginary
Can you
number?
explain the concept? Like, for example, calculus, like, it's like the rate of change. Like, yes, I understand that, but like,
So the square root of -1, is that what you're asking?
No,
No.
what is the imaginary number? Like, what does that mean? Why are you
It's not a
adding it
number.
to -3?
It's an equal
Why are you
sign.
adding
yeah, like, why? Like, imagine trying to explain this to somebody that doesn't know math. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
like, -3 plus two imaginary numbers.
Like-
So it's like, what?
Why are we adding that?
Okay, so I will show you.
How you know if it's negative?
I show you later, because we actually get that by deriving it from the Pythagorean theorem, which we use the quadratic formula to get. So you will get negative numbers there.
Okay. Wait, negative imaginary
Okay, never
numbers
mind.
too?
My question was answered.
Yeah.
Okay, so here you have
No.
two.
Okay, look.
You owe two.
Hey, you need to
$35.
chill.
Okay.
We're trying. I need to finish this. You're going off on a tangent.
Okay.
All right, are we okay on this?
You going off on the cosine.
Maybe Amy's the old hippie. And maybe you're the old hippie tripping off.
I'm just tired.
Now, do you want to do the easy way?
We didn't even get the
Yeah,
answer.
You didn't. Everyone else did. All right. First, since we're trying to match the graph, let's just use the angle. Think about it. Where's 240 degrees? What quadrant?
Quadrant 3.
240 is in quadrant 3, right?
Yes.
I'm hoping you guys, yes, it's in quadrant 3. So that means that
A and B are done.
now,
Cross them out.
from 240 on the unit circle, is it going to be down here or over here? So is it like, if this had the letters next to it, I had to copy and paste, letters didn't fit. So would it be like this one here, which would be a C, or this one here, which would be like the D?
Merry Christmas.
Making Christmas, making Christmas,
Roll on.
Whoa, that was.
Oh,
You
it's
need to
gonna
give
be-
these to the freshmen.
No, I'm trying to. I ordered a case just to give you.
No, I'm never musty.
I know that's right.
Don't look at my feet. They can be ashy. Okay. Let's pull out them toes.
No, because we got a foot fetish over here.
Oh no.
And send her fit books.
Yeah, that's what
Making only fans for your feet. Ew. Imagine.
So for my
Only feet.
angle, it has to be D, right?
Right.
Okay, good.
I checked on the unicircle.
36. What form is this in right here?
Yeah.
It is rectangular, right?
See, I'm paying attention.
That is in rectangular.
But
But
the
all
X
my answers are in.
polar.
So if I want my calculator to spit out an answer in polar,
You need to put it down in it.
there we go, change it. So all these are in polar.
Hola.
So let's go change that.
So home, 5, 2.
I should have said that instead of home settings, dark settings.
Wait,
blue,
but
and
I'm
contrast.
still trying to tell, like, how do you know if it's a rectangle or
Did you do unit 8?
Yeah.
You did. That whole thing is about the rectangular and polar. So 8.2, 8.3 switches back and forth in between rectangular and polar.
Rectangular has the imaginary number, and polar has them.
It's
in
D.
The
parentheses.
theta. It says cosine and sine.
Polar has the eyes.
Yeah.
They both actually have eyes, but
No, rectangle.
polar has cosine and sine,
Yeah.
or CIS.
Oh, as in the answer.
Oh, okay.
Now, back to the scratch pad, and it just says -2 plus 2i. So, -2 plus 2. Hit enter.
And then it's D.
Ah!
It's D.
I hit the wrong thing. Sorry.
Wait.
It's D.
So settings to real or complex polar.
Hold on. I think I
Because
want
I
to.
did that, but it didn't work.
Go be in degrees.
I am.
I was in degrees right now and I got a whole different world.
Yeah.
No, mine wasn't right.
I got the same thing that I got.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because you got to have it in degree, because this theta right here, the theta, your angle is in degrees, so I just changed it to degrees.
Wait a minute. Why do you look like this?
Because
It's supposed to be
Because it's
polar,
showing
right?
you the angle.
Oh, it's 135. It's D.
The angle is 135 exactly. Cause that's an
That
angle.
makes sense now. I was lost for a minute. It just looked funky.
It's going off on a cosine. Calm down.
Then
Okay.
what is that then?
see what you got here.
I didn't put that.
That angle.
Apparently you did.
What is that?
I put the little two.
Okay.
I think it went off the
No,
other answer.
yeah, that's what it is. Your
It
calculator's haunted. Now, if you look right here, I want you to see this, because this is how you read this answer. This is your radius. So this is actually cosine I sine. So it's your angle is theta. So it's going to be 2.8 CIS cosine I sine of 135 degrees.
Simple as
So it's the abbreviation 135. The answer is D. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
I'm hoping you guys are actually plugging this in, because switching it back and forth every time, you've got to know what you're doing. What do my answers look like here?
Rectangular.
They're in rectangular.
gotta
So
change
I have
it.
to change my calculator to,
Rectangular.
thank you. So you're going to do this, but what mode is this in here? Radian. How do I know it's in radian?
Cause
Your angles are in radian.
Yes.
Cause I was looking at the wrong way.
Say what again?
Why do you have to read?
For himself.
Esports.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The armpit's a little itchy now.
Okay, so
No, you really need to head them out to the freshmen. They be
Not
having
to be mean about it.
a
though. Be
cloud
like, yo,
of
put this on.
must.
Good.
You just walk past and it's just must.
there's some
Seniors too.
you walk behind and it's so bad you could like taste them. That's how bad that
You
is.
can break it to them though. Like, here's your deodorant. Like, that's
No, like
gross.
just.
You gotta be mean about it.
You're gonna have to, like,
No,
they,
don't be mean. Just
not
be like,
mean, but you know, you have to let them know, like,
Put
look,
that shit
Brad,
out there. So right at the back of their head.
a
Put
little
that shit
funk
on.
on there. But you should be able to smell yourself, like,
yeah, but some people they get so used to their own scent. Like, you just.
I hate the way, like, when you walk in a guy's or a man's room and it just has that
The
manly
wrestling room?
stench. You
Yeah,
know,
The
like, that
wrestling
just,
room?
like, just,
Oh, disgusting.
it just smells like a man and balls. Like,
Oh.
it's not it. Like, men stink so
Are you
Like a
recording?
ball.
You can't use this recording. You can't.
You are really gonna try and get me demonetized here.
I'm sorry. Excuse my French. It do smell like balls.
I don't even know why you're an expert at that. Why?
Because
Why?
when you walk into
Why?
like,
No,
a
why?
man's building-
Why you identify that smell?
Because that's how I think sweaty, nasty, stanky balls. No.
Rectangular.
My answer was not that clean.
India, you need to chill.
I did not get that.
You talking about me going on a tangent?
You're worse.
Me?
You're.
I'm talking about genitalia.
Genitals?
Especially stinky.
Ah!
Doesn't like talking about genitalia.
I do.
1 plus I is your answer.
We have 2 more left. 3.
Oh, good.
Then we can explain why you need eyes.
Oh yeah.
Now, this is where y'all gonna screw up. This is gonna be where y'all screw up.
It's just in parentheses.
Bracket is just a parentheses. So as you're plugging in, it has to look like this. I'm gonna show you. Don't screw it up.
Mr. Pacho,
Don't you?
It's in degrees.
We ain't never get the answer.
Yes, we did.
Oh, well, I need you to do it again because I ain't
We ain't
get
gonna
it.
never get there.
You'll see.
How?
Put it in the calculator.
I already
and then
did.
you'll see.
I already did.
I already did.
And I got minus. I got.
Wait, guys.
Change it to radian.
It's already in
That's a lot
degree.
of
Be in
parentheses.
degrees.
Man.
It's supposed to be in degree,
No, it's supposed to
No,
be
radian.
This is too much.
so I already put it in radian.
You need all 3 of those parentheses?
Oh
Oh my
I
gosh.
said D, but they saying it's C.
They asking for too much.
Well, I'm just gonna get that wrong because that's just low down dirty.
Like, oh my. Like, I don't have time to learn how to do this, but never mind. It's over.
Yeah, it's too late for me. I've already lost an hour.
Or, if you're that bad, it's easier to do it by hand. It's easier to do it by hand, so let's do this by hand.
I ain't talking about this one. I'm talking about this.
What's happening in between these two values?
They're multiplying.
Multiplying. So if you're doing multiplication, that's a product rule for this. Product rule, when you're multiplying 2 of these, it's going to be 6 times 5, and it's going to be in the mode of CIS, because I don't want to write all that.
Wait a minute. What's the mode CIS?
CIS is cosine I sine.
Oh.
It's just abbreviated.
You
C
should have said that.
I. I have been saying that.
I didn't hear that.
Okay, if this is a multiplication, what happens in between my 2 angles? Anyone actually do that? It was in 8.3.
Wait, what?
I just watched it.
Wait, what you're asking?
8.3.
8.3. If I'm doing multiplication of these 2 values, what do I do with my angles?
Do you divide?
I add the angles.
Oh,
As you should, Tony. As you
I
should.
just watched it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
120 plus negative 30.
So, this is what the product rule for this looks like. So, doing it by hand, it's a whole lot easier. So, 30. And then, I'm going to write it all out. Cosine 120 minus 30 is 90 plus I sine of 90. What is cosine at 90? Because I'm going to turn this into rectangular.
Cosine?
0. Cosine at 90 is 0. Plus I. What is sine at 90?
1.
And distribute.
0.
0 plus
There's I 30. So 30 I.
So if you can't figure it out on the calculator, because you're just going to take an L, do it by hand. It's on 8.3.
Wait. I was looking at the calculator, and I got negative 1 point E minus 12, and then at the end of that, I got plus 30 I.
I got negative 30 minus the.
Okay, so now that negative 12, that e, that's scientific notation. That says that is a really, really small number. That is a really, really small number. I assume that number
Is it 0, 0,
is 0.
0, 0, 0?
Okay, that's why.
Okay. Two more, guys. Two more.
Quotient. You put it in exactly. I'm going to show you how it has to look in the calculator if you're plugging it in. That's how you put it in the calculator. But if I'm going to do it by hand, it's a lot easier. What's 24 divided by 2? And then I'm going to do CIS, a quotient rule for that, CIS. So if a product rule, I add my angles, quotient rule, I subtract the angles. So 150 minus 30. So it's going to be 12, parentheses cosine of 120, plus I sine of 120. So 12 cosine at 120 is going to be negative 1/2, plus I sine at 120 is a positive rad 3 over 2. And distribute the 12. So I get negative 6, and I get plus 6I rad 3. Now, the problem with this one here, when I plug it in the calculator, is my answer going to spit out the 2 rad 2?
No.
Every time you have a radical on the calculator, what does that do?
It makes it a decimal.
It gives it a decimal. So if you had a case like this, you plugged in the calculator, what do I have to do to get my answers? Just approximate each one. You're going to have to plug in each one. So just by doing my first part, the negative 6 in the real direction doesn't have a radical. So that means that my answer cannot be this, so it's one of these two. So that's the reason why sometimes it's just easier to do it by hand. So if you did 8.3, yes, it's all this. Now, it's asking for rectangular form, right? Okay, so it's asking for rectangular form, and it gives me, what form is this? This is also rectangular. This is also rectangular.
So they asking you the simple form?
Yeah, you're just going to multiply. What's this actually say? This says that it is going to be 2 minus 3I rad 3 squared, which means it's multiplying by 2 minus 3I rad 3. So you're multiplying by itself. And this is everyone's favorite thing to do, because it happens all the time. What do we got to do here? Got to fail it. Foil, fail. Come on, it goes with the joke.
A?
Across.
Oh.
First, 4 across, all the way across, is going to be minus 6I rad 3. Inside is going to be minus 6I rad 3. And last is going to give me negative negative is positive 9I squared radical 9. Now, that last term right there, I'm going to clean that up. What is I squared?
3.
1.
I mean, I squared. 1.
I squared is negative 1. It's negative 1. I squared is negative 1. I squared is negative 1. And what is square root of 9? 3. So I'm going to multiply that by what's out front here. So this becomes a negative 3 times 9, 27. There we go. Combine like terms because these are the same. Those are the same, right? Negative 12 I radical 3. And then that 4, that's a real, isn't it? It's a real 4. So bring that down. And now I can combine the real with real. I don't have any other imaginary here, so I combine my positive 4, negative 27, which is going to give me negative 23. So negative 23 minus 12i. There we go. And this is in what form? It is in rectangular form.
Okay, we're done.
Mister, can you go back to 37 really?
Yes, I will. All right. Like, share, and subscribe. All that stuff. Hopefully I don't get demonetized.